Welcome everybody back to more new content presented by the Comic Underground. This is CU Legends, where we pull back the curtain on the sellers that you see at the wall each month. We want you to get to know the sellers of the Comic Underground along with us. How did they get here? What do they collect? And why should you be watching their claim sales? I'm Kyle, and this is CU Legends. So let's get into it. This is our third episode. And for our third episode, we're bringing on Uncle Palms, Mr. Palms Funny Books. Hey, man, what's going on today?
Oh, man, it's Sunday. Good day. Still riding out the weekend and enjoying this little bit of a day off before I get into next week. And everything's good. How about you, dude?
Good, man. Doing well, doing well. And why don't you just introduce yourself really quickly for anybody that doesn't know you, and then we'll get started.
Okay. I'm Andrew Pomerango. Most people know me by Palms. I go by many different names. Some people call me Andrew, Drew, Andy. I respond to them all. I've been collecting for, it's probably going on 35 plus years. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I still enjoy the hobby. Up here, I'm still like 16, but here I'm a little bit older. But I've enjoyed the hobby a long time. Had probably about, I'm ballparking it now, probably about 6 or 7 periods of collecting where I bought collections, sold collections, and in the last probably 6 years, kind of become I'm still a collector, but I'm also a seller. I still buy things for myself, but it's more nostalgic stuff for myself now. But I've been probably more visible in the IG community for the last 4.5 years. I would probably say about 4 years or so.
Awesome.
And I've really enjoyed it. I came from Whatnot. But when I was doing live shows, I actually did Facebook to Whatnot to IG, and I've really enjoyed my time with IG and Comic Underground.
Awesome. So thanks for being our spotlight. Again, this is our third chance of doing this. Just trying to give more details about who the people are that sell, because you see a lot of me and Nick and Kate and Spencer and Dan and Phil and so on hosting, but you don't get to see and talk to the seller because they're busy doing their job, So I've got a few questions for you, but feel free to share whatever comes to mind as we go. But our first question is first appearance. And first appearance is just a quick nod at how did you get started? And in this question, we don't mean on IG comic sales, but specifically, how did you get hooked up with us?
Oh, okay. Well, I knew Kate from, let's just say, another hosted group in the past. Yeah. And I also knew Nick. We were all not really, we would talk with each other, didn't talk all the time, but we knew about each other in the community. Me and Kate probably talked a little bit more. And when I had seen that you guys were putting together a new group, I was like, well, I got to give these guys a try because, number one, I want to see Kate succeed. I want to see Nick succeed. After I got to talk to you and about the group and who you were, I wanted to see you succeed. Overall, I wanted to see the Comic Underground do well. And I was kind of all in as a seller to be one of those people to hopefully grow the group. And I'm hoping that I've done that a little bit with what I bring. Obviously, I'm a seller. I'm bringing books. I'm entertaining and doing all this stuff. But at the same time, I'm trying to help grow a really good group with good people. And that's one of my main goals, being a seller in the group.
So when we first split, I was thinking about this before we talked today. And, I had done, let me think, only like 4 or 5 months worth of shows. I had been involved in the community for just a few months before that. So I wasn't really in IG comics much. And I was definitely the youngest in the community of Nick, Joey, and Kate and I.
Right.
So when we first started, I want to say, I forget who our exact first, actually, I think our very first show was actually Brixco.
Okay.
But after that, we immediately got like Movie Man, 4-star, and Old School Comic Guy. And I want to say I don't know if you were the first month, but I think you might have been the like 3rd or 4th week, maybe 5th week. But I remember Kate just saying, she just kept saying, okay, Palms is going to be this Tuesday. I'm like, okay. So we were doing the schedule, and back then Kate did almost all the schedule. And so Palms just shows up on the calendar. I'd never heard of you, never seen a show, right? But
Right.
there was something about the way Kate's like, nope, that's his spot. And he goes at 6 o'clock. And I'm like, that's weird. And then like she's like, I'm hosting Palms, it'll be great. That's like a checkbox. That's done. I'm like, okay. And I didn't know what she meant. And then like quickly behind that was like Sappy. And you guys quickly became like kind of the cornerstones of the monthly schedule. You know, we had Sappy 2 Fridays a month. We had you a Tuesday a month. We had Joey twice a month at the time, Movie Man twice a month. And, you know, now we have a lot of sellers, but we were packing in those people. And, you know, I jokingly referred to you. Upside came on pretty quickly right in there, too.
Right.
I jokingly referred to like you, Sappy, Brian, and Ryan those first couple months as like the generals of the underground, because you guys came in and not only did you come in to sell, but to your credits, like you just said, all of you had opinions and we wanted them. We weren't like, nope, this is our new thing, by God, you know? So it was awesome. For me, it was awesome because, again, new to it, to like feel like I was learning the community and learning like what people wanted, and to have like, you know, Joey and Nick having been sellers where Kate and I weren't, or and still aren't. It was phenomenal. And so exactly, yes, all those things. So I'm very
Yeah,
appreciative of that.
that's good to hear. I don't consider myself a general. I consider myself just a goofball that loves the hobby. I love the comic books. I love the art. I love the creators. I love the whole thing about it. I love talking about it. And that comes, I'm hoping it comes through in a lot of the shows. I know that you mentioned it before, but that's why I like to set myself apart from any other shows that you kind of see, because I have a true love for it and love to talk about all the inside information about comics and
Right.
recommendations, all that cool stuff. But yeah, I do appreciate that, dude. I'm just hoping that the way I feel about it kind of translates to people watching it and having kind of a good feeling about it too, and kind of getting into it.
I think it does. And so our next question is called Origin Story. And when we talk about origin story, we're not talking about how you got your magical powers. We are we are talking about who are you from the start. Like when you're not slinging comics, who's Palms? What else do you do?
You know, the funny thing is, you know, I have a lot of hobbies and always have. I think I'm kind of like the nerdy Renaissance man kind of character. I mean, you see the whole, you know, devil horns and heavy metal, but, you know, I do like heavy metal. I do like music. Music has always been a big thing in my life, and it's a big thing in my son's life too. So we share that together. And anytime that I can help him or give him any recommendations or just my thoughts on stuff, or if I can help him with playing a little bit easier on the guitar, we talk about that all the time. But everybody kind of relates me to like heavy music, but I just love music in general. I'm a big Beatles fan. I'm a big Pink Floyd fan, big Radiohead fan. But of course, I lean towards the heavier music on the regular when I'm listening to music. I'm also a big sports fan. I'm a diehard Cubs fan, diehard Steelers fan, which I know you hate, but I'm still a Steelers fan. That's never going to change. We got the Pittsburgh shirt on. And in the last year, of course, my son is one of the most important things in my life, other than my wife and my family, of course, just because, you know, I'm an Italian American. I don't consider myself just Italian, but we definitely have strong ties there. And this last year, getting him through the year to graduate was always a big goal of mine, making sure it was as easy as it could be for an 18-year-old to get through his senior year. And he's ready to move on to his next phase of life. That is always kind of a big, not really a hobby, but it's something, an accomplishment, not only for him, but for me too, to
Sure.
get him to that position and being successful. But as far as the background on that, that's kind of who I am behind the scenes and hobby wise, just to get a taste of who I am.
Cool. All right. Our next question is called the Vault. And for the vault, when we ask you about your vault, we're talking about, okay, you're a seller now,
Right.
but what kind of stuff do you collect for yourself? And even though talking to other sellers, they're like, well, now I collect it for myself, but there's always a day I might sell it.
Right.
So what do you collect for yourself, and what is the thing that you have that, like, man, it'll be a cold day in hell before you sell it?
You know, yeah, I collect more nostalgia stuff for me. The stuff that I spend money on, and you know this because you've seen me in another group, buying original art sometimes for myself and putting it on the wall. I am surrounded by some form of original art or prints that are signed or just cool stuff that interests me. I mean, I always kind of lean towards supernatural horror, cool comics, and artists that I love. And I have a John Romita Jr. up over here. I have a Batman Rogues Gallery page OA over here. I just have a movie poster of Blade because I love the movie so much over
Yeah.
here. I have all the classic movie monsters behind me. I kind of collect that stuff. Now, when it comes to books, it seems like I'm always looking for those books that got me into certain titles. Like with the X-Men, the first X-Men book I ever owned was I want to say it's issue 173, where Wolverine is running up with Rogue in the
I
background,
think
all
so,
black.
yeah. 72 or
That was
3.
yeah, that was my introduction to X-Men, to Wolverine, to Rogue, to that whole ocean of cool stuff with the X-Men. And I have that in a 9.8. So I'm trying to collect those books that mean a lot to me. I'm looking for like an X-Men 166 because that's one of my favorite covers from one of my favorite artists to ever do the run. And he only did like Paul Smith only did like a 10 issue run, but that's like the Star Wars cover of an X-Men. And I love the art so much. So much is going on, and it really displays his style and his talent as an artist that a lot of people are always thinking about John Byrne and Cockrum and Jim Lee and John Romita Jr. and their runs. I always think about Paul Smith because that's kind of how I was introduced to X-Men. So that's kind of a
Funny,
sentimental thing to me.
165 was my first issue.
Oh man,
It's the Storm turning into a brood.
Storm turning into the Brood. Yeah,
That was my first issue. Got it off the newsstand. I used to go to I've told you this probably. I used to go to a drugstore in my small town. They had
right,
a literal newsstand up front. They had probably 6 comic books a month. They got, I don't know how they got what they got. They had like random stuff. And I knew I liked the X-Men. I don't remember why I knew the X-Men already, but I knew the X-Men. I think I knew Wolverine, probably from the Secret Wars toys that had
right.
come out around the same time. And I saw Storm, and it scared the crap. I was like 7, 6, scared the crap out of me.
Yeah,
So I grabbed it. I was with my nanny, so she would let me buy it. My mama probably would have said that's too scary.
right.
But I opened it up and flipped through it. Paul Smith art, and the team got palms. You know this was Colossus, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, and
That
Kitty.
was a prime team.
The core, dude.
Yeah, man.
That's a core memory, man. And I still have that copy. I've bought a better copy, but yeah, that run, man, we were lucky that was our introduction, because you're right.
Oh, I
Byrne
know.
was before that, but we were lucky to have started with Paul Smith. That's a
Oh yeah, 100%.
all righty. So our next question is, and you kind of already alluded to this a little bit, but our next question is called crossover. And so you said you collected for 35 plus years.
Yep.
And you've been in the IG comic community now for 4.5 years or so. At what point, though, did you like decide, like, what switched in your brain to say, I need to sell these things?
You know, selling along the way has always been profitable for me. It always seems to be a time in my life I'm ready to move on to either bigger books or buying something significant in my life. Um, I'm trying to think of like the first collection that I sold. I mean, I collected for a long time, and I had a really, really nice collection that I brought with me from Illinois to Tennessee, and then Tennessee to, I want to say, Charlotte. And one of the earlier collections I sold in Charlotte, you know, I made $5,000, $6,000 on it, you know, and probably is probably worth triple that. And you know, I didn't really analyze like I do now, but at the time that money funded other things that I wanted to do. And of course, I picked it up again and then built another collection. So those were kind of like the indicators that, hey, this is something that is kind of a big deal. Not only do I enjoy collecting, but it can actually pay off to collect a little bit. And I got familiar with the titles that everybody was looking for, and I'd kind of go heavy there, but I'd also buy the things I was reading too and just enjoy them. And it seemed like a lot of the stuff I was picking up that I was enjoying, other people were enjoying, and eventually would make me money. So if something that was sentimental to me, I could always go out and get a trade paperback, and I still had it if I wanted to read it or reference it or whatever, and I could sell off the book and always get it back eventually if I really wanted it. But those were kind of like the first signs of, yeah, this could be something. And I think when it was right before COVID, and it was people were going crazy,
Right.
and I had all these books, and I started to see the values rise, and I started making a lot of money that I could turn over into really big books. That was like the final, hey, what am I doing? And I had a full-time job, and on the side, I was making just as much money in my hobby than I was working my full-time job. And I was just like, I've got to kind of make this a regular thing. And
Yeah.
it started on Facebook when it, like I said, Facebook, then Whatnot for a small amount of time. But if you've seen my shows, I'm not the type of Whatnot seller, or I'm not comfortable with Whatnot like I am with IG, because I can spend more time talking
Right.
about stuff and having my own personality, not being forced to be a personality on Whatnot.
Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
not there's anything wrong with selling on Whatnot. It's
No,
just
no.
not for me. But
Right.
when I found IG and the way I wanted to sell on IG with hosted shows and stuff, I just kind of found my niche there. So
Now, did you sell live on Facebook too?
a little bit, but the funny thing is, the times I would go live, it would be more people in the comments just wanting to hang out and talk, and
Yeah.
that was fine. And Whatnot was kind of the same way. I started to get like groups of people, the same face would show up and want to kind of hang out
Yeah.
and kind of talk and joke around, and we would just have a good time. And I would make sales on Whatnot, which was fine too. But was I trying to put up influencer numbers? Was I trying to be an influencer? No, I just had my style and did my thing, and didn't care about trying to fit into a certain mold to be an influencer or whatever over there. And after a time, after the thinking about the fees and what I was doing there and everything, I kind of went back to Facebook doing like reply sales, live sales, still talking with people behind the scenes and making sales too. So I forget who had told me, it might have been Caesar. Some other people said, hey, you might want to check out IG. It might be more your style for what you talk about and the knowledge you have with comics. It might be the right match. And I'm like,
Right.
give it a
Let me
try.
talk
I'd
to
love
you.
to talk, and I love to talk about comics. So I'll give it a try. And it worked out from day one doing live shows. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think you're obviously better suited for IG, but I think with Whatnot, um, sometimes the shows are extraordinarily fast paced and they're
Right.
moving like lower price books. But at the same time, I've also been in shows before where they are still talking about the books. But you're right, it's different because we're zoomed in on the book and we're kind of staring at this static picture the whole time.
Right.
And for me, that struggles to get my interest. Maybe it's a little ADD or whatever, but um, just the simple pan of a room for me breaks that up a little.
Right.
But
Exactly.
to have this the screen, I guess, to be able to go across 20 or 50 books instead of one by one by one is cool. But I mean, there's also the times that I come in and I go to a person's bin and whatnot, and I'm like, there's the 3 books I want. It pings me when the book comes on, and I can be doing something totally different and not pay any attention to it. So
Right.
there's definitely pluses and minuses to the two.
Yeah. 100% agree. 100% agree.
All right, so here is maybe the biggest question. Okay, so this one is called pull list. And
Okay.
now, again, I've taken words from real life comic book collecting, kind of repurposed them for all this. But in pull list here, we're talking about how normally I have a pull list. I go to my LCS and I get the comics that I want every month, and that helps that LCS bank on getting my $50 or whatever it is now a
Right.
month, and 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 I can count on them every month to give me what I need. So in IG world, when I come to my monthly Palm show, what can I count on you? What makes your show different? Maybe that when I'm scrolling through all the shows and I see Palm's show on, I need to stop and listen instead of scrolling by.
You know, it's funny. When I'm out buying books, it seems like I'm always not only am I looking for stuff that's cool, it seems like I'm secretly buying for myself and books that I'm familiar with. I've always been, I mean, at the core, I'm a Bronze and Silver Age collector, and that's what I love. That's what I've read for a long time, going into the Copper Age too. But the funny thing is, you know, I like everything. I try to make sure I have Golden Age to modern books, and I'm always looking for those cool keys that seem to match up together and setting it up kind of like a boutique style kind of show. And it's morphed into not only those cool books, and when I say cool books, I mean this last show that I did, I had a Bernie Wrightson sign item, which I think is getting tougher and tougher to get. I have another Bernie Wrightson and Len Wein signed Swamp Thing, both the creators of Swamp Thing on a Swamp Thing book. You don't see that every day. Those are the cool items. I have Frazetta art books over to the side for Frazetta fans that happen to creep in the room. If they happen to say, "Hey, you have any Frazetta?" Of course, because I love Frazetta too. So let's put it on the board for you. So I have, you know, a full wall of. I try to put premium, cool books, a nice mix, going like I said from Golden Age to modern, but I also have a front table that I have some cool stuff that kinds of tends to go to the more affordable, and then another side table with a portion of original art, some collectibles, and some more affordable, cool stuff that I know people in the community are looking for. I just try to mix it up where you're not looking at one note during the show. And I try to make sure that all the price points are hitting too, because I know that people that come to my shows, not everybody's going to have $500 to $1,000 to $2,000 to spend. So why would I want to bring only that, or only bring Golden Age, or only bring Silver Age? I just think it's nice to kind of mix it up and give people a little bit of everything to look at. And who knows, those people that come to the shows and see something that their friends have been talking about for 10 years and go, "Hey, I see that book. Uh, maybe he can tell me a little bit about that book, and you know, who did the art on that book, and is that book cool? And you know, not only is that book cool, what would you recommend that's like that book?" I can talk about all that stuff because most of the books I'm putting in my show, I know the creators, I know the artist, I've probably read the book more than likely. So that's the other thing that I try to bring to shows that might be a tad different, because sometimes you'll have sellers just selling books because they're looking to sell books and they're there to make money, and they might not know as much about the book. And if I can talk about the book, not only is it fun for me, I'm hoping it kind of translates into being more entertaining for people watching too.
Right. So what's funny is and we've talked several times about this, but um, I think that the shows that I enjoy are curated shows, and that's the word I keep coming back to with you,
Right.
with people like A1, with even somebody like Millhouse.
Right.
He hasn't sold with us before, but he does that kind of show,
Mhm.
um, where regardless of like your delivery, because the delivery, you know, Aaron's, yours, Millhouse's, Gold Standard does it really well. Your delivery is completely different. All four of
Right.
you, very,
Oh,
very different people. But you pick not the same books, but you pick the same roster of books. And it's like you're building the wall or you're building your room to fill the different price point needs, the different era needs, the different genre needs. And you're not doing it in a way where you're going and you have just everything.
right.
You have selected stuff to fill those slots. So you're much more a curator, like a museum curator or a GM of a good baseball team that's filling all the roles, as opposed to, I bought this 10,000 book collection. Here it is. Do you want any of it? You know, which maybe it has all those genres and ages in it, but it's just what that collection has. Um, and that's what I really appreciate. Now, I have to say, and I said the same thing on Gold Standards episode, I'm not knocking the other thing.
Right.
If there's a person that's got 100,000 books, like we know people with that kind
Oh
of
yeah.
inventory, if you go and you grab 5 short boxes and you cherry pick 150 books out of that and put them up on the wall, and you're like, these are the good ones,
Right.
that's a method, and that works, and that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But when you don't have that slew of inventory and you've carefully selected the 100 books for your show, stick by stick, it shows. Now it's risky probably because you probably had a show where you carefully selected the 100 and somebody's like, yeah, but do you have issue number so and so? And you're like, no, I don't have any of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, it's a percentage game when you have people coming in and asking for stuff. A lot of times, it seems like it's 50-50. Sometimes I know I have it. Sometimes I just know I don't. And if I know I have it, send me a DM, dude. I'll dig out of the box, and either I was imagining I had it, or I'll just show you the books you're looking for, and hopefully we'll
Yeah.
make a deal outside the show, and I'll hook you up. And that's happened a lot of times. It's funny that we spend a lot of time. The sellers spend a lot of times building these shows up, especially when you're curating, doing it. Like I said, my boutique style. I put a lot of effort into it. I don't bitch about it. I just because I enjoy it. I don't need accolades for it or anything. But it does take time, and I don't know where I was going with this because I just lost direction on my point here. But yeah, I totally just spaced out what I was going to say related to that. Sorry, dude.
No, you're good, you're good. So I think we've covered what you get in a Palm show. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's definitely a good time, and it's different, and that's why we had the idea to do this. One of the things I was interested in kind of seeing, I've talked to you about this kind of thing already, but I'm curious to hear what everybody says because our first episode was White Oak. I mean,
Yeah.
he's pulling the majority of what he's pulling is pulling from his own PC of I think we're talking 50 years worth of PC books.
Oh
So
yeah.
he's not going out buying collections. He might occasionally, I don't know, but he doesn't need
Right.
to.
Right.
And Andrew buys buys 100 books, sells 100 books, buys 100 books, sells 100 books.
Right.
You're somewhere in between.
Yeah. I
I'm sure
mean,
you have more than 100 books, but you
I'm
keep your shows tight.
I'm very fortunate. I have people that I work with locally. I have what I consider a business partner that I work with directly that I put his consignment books up, but I have so many contacts and have built like a network of people not only locally and through my Facebook friends. Um, there's just people that I know in the IG community too that I can reach out to and go, hey, what are you trying to move right now? What do you got that you're just trying to sell? Do you have extra inventory? There's so many, and I know that that's a big challenge for a lot of sellers. Is I've had a couple of sellers reach out to me and go, where do you get all your books? And I'm like, dude, it's a matter of doing this for a while and building a network of people that you trust and that are willing to work with you and however works best for you to put together your show. So it's not hard for me to do it. It takes time. You're relying on shipping and you're doing the deals behind the scenes to put these shows together the right way for
Right.
people get the cool books and you're profitable too.
Right. I'm excited to continue having that question with everybody. Like, Jared always has a bunch of good stuff.
Right. Right.
Bobby does. Bobby always has really
Oh
cool
yeah.
stuff as well. And I'm Reza. I'm excited to Cat. Obviously, I'm excited to talk to hopefully all of our sellers and just see like how do they do that,
Right.
and see how they kind of build their inventory. Our last section, our last segment is lightning round. And in lightning round, it's just like an old school game show.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you a this or that. I'm gonna give you a short question, and you just need to give us the fastest answer that you can. Okay. So get ready. We'll stop and explain if there's something of interest, but a
Oh,
couple
I'm
of
not going to give you quick answers.
you gotta try. You gotta try.
That just won't happen with me.
All right, here we go. Slabs or Raws?
Raws.
Okay. Marvel or DC?
This will require explanation. I grew up a Marvel guy. As I've
Okay.
gotten older, I've become a DC guy. So my answer is yes.
So is DC like is that Swamp Thing and that sort of thing?
There's a lot of DC things that I've grown to love, that I've grown to appreciate. Yeah, I love Swamp Thing, and he is DC. I love the Justice League Dark whole element and all those.
Oh, okay.
I love the mystical side of DC. I love the history with DC. I love the power levels of DC. When you get in the nerd fights, when you walk into a comic book shop and you're like, "Oh, Avengers versus Justice League,
Oh yeah.
that'll be such a close." And I'm like, "No, man, you got gods against superheroes, and the only one that's kind of a god or demigod is Thor. And you know what? He would get crushed by the gods just about, and the most intelligent guy on Earth, by the way. Okay,
Right.
so there's no argument there. Things like that you as time goes on, and the history and how long they've been around.
That's
You
true.
talk about Golden Age books where Marvel, when you're looking at Marvel, they put out so many great stories and so many great characters, but a lot of people don't digest that really they're a Silver Age company with the hero side.
Sure.
So I love them both because I've enjoyed them both over time. But as I've gotten older, I've grown a deeper appreciation for DC.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Now, a character that needs a solo series, and maybe they've had one before, but you need a book with this starring this character.
Yeah, when it's funny, there's been different characters that I've thought about on the. I'll give you two. I'll pick out two from both sides. From the DC side, just because I like the mystical side, and I would love to see a premium artist and premium writer do something crazy with the character. Is Doctor Fate. Doctor Fate, for whatever
Okay.
reason, even when I didn't know that much about the character, I love the character design. I love the fact that he was like, I don't say Doctor Strange of DC, but when
No, no,
he
not at
is a
all.
Doctor Strange of DC, if you want to simplify it. But you could do so many cool things with him, and I
That's
think that
cool.
there's still potential there for that character to be so much greater than. I mean, there's fans of Doctor Fate, but he can be so much more, I
He
think.
could be. Yeah, you're right. He's got
Uh,
some like Moon Knight, the psychological stuff. It's
right,
not really like Moon Knight. I guess it's just the idea of the alter ego versus the hero being kind of like opposing each other almost.
right. And
That's very unique.
on the Marvel side, I've always had a really he's just been one of those background favorite characters. And the funny thing is, I don't have his first appearance, and I would love to have his first appearance in a high grade. Is Iron Fist. For whatever reason, Iron Fist has been always one of those favorites of mine. I always think of him. He's not only one of the top street level fighters in the Marvel universe, he could take on the next level of superhero or super villain with the powers that he possesses. He can
That's
knock
true.
out the Hulk if it's channeled the right way. And they have kind of tapped into the character a little bit in previous storylines where it kind of gives you a glimpse into what they could really do, but have they really busted through and made him what he potentially could be? I don't think they have, but I see glimpses that still impress me, and I still enjoy the character and the background on the character. But it's in my head. I'm like, if they put the right movie together, they put that right artist with the right writer, and have a breakthrough moment for that character, he would be so much more.
Now, was it Brubaker and Fraction or just
Yeah,
Brubaker?
see, that's one of the storylines I was talking
That's
about.
the run that
The
I think of
Immortal
when I
Iron
think of
Fist.
Interest, which isn't what early 2000s.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what I think of, and that's where they went back and kind of recognized what you're talking about, and went back and connected him to an ancestral line of Iron Fist a little better than they ever had before.
Right.
And that's tough to do because there's lots of things that do that. There's the Green Lanterns and the Novas and all that,
Yep.
and then there's like the Spawns and all that. So it's tough to do that and not be kind of recycled content. But it was really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, a book you'll always grab, and by this I mean maybe you already got like 3 copies, but if you see a clean one, you're buying it anyway.
There's so many books. I mean, I could list probably 20 to 40 books that every time
You
I
already got a bunch of them, but you have to get it every time you
oh
see it.
yeah, I mean, you know, I buy so much, and I'm trying to. Maybe I'll just kind of spit out just the things that come to mind, I guess. ASM 100, ASM 50, ASM 300, X-Men 100, any single digit X-Men if they're in good shape and they're priced right. Anything pre 50 or before of X-Men, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Good Silver Age ASM is always a default for me. But there's so many just random keys that when I see them that I have to. I mean, just like Batgirl Adventures #1. If that's in great shape, I'm gonna pick it up. The first appearance of Harley Quinn in Batman Adventures 12, by default, I'll always pick it up. Those types of books, when I see them in raw and they're priced well, and I'm buying them from people that I trust, when they say it's so and so grade, and it's right where I need to be, I'm gonna grab it more than likely.
Got it. House of Secrets.
Oh yeah, House of Secrets. That's
Nine.
more current for me. Is House of, and I say current within the last 2 to 3 years. I've grown to love House of Secrets and House of Mystery, and all those surrounding titles. The Unexpected, Ghosts, especially the earlier parts. Anything that's in the early 70s, those cover, all the cover artists and all those guys that were involved, that stable of premium artists. I mean, all those covers are so good, and now people are just now. It just seems just recently starting to appreciate it.
All right, our next one up is, what do you think is the most overrated key? So maybe it's well overpriced and you're like, why is that book so expensive? Or maybe
Right.
you just don't think it's very good. You've read it and it's not that great. People like it and it just doesn't match the hype.
You know, I always, you know, as much as I think the character's cool, and of course, now that we've seen him on the big screen, he's always entertaining, and they got the right actor for the role and everything. First appearance of Deadpool, for whatever reason, I have no, unless there's a good deal, I just can't pass up. For whatever reason, I always think about how the print runs were, how Liefeld was a little overhyped at the time, I think. And he was, believe me, he sold millions of books, and he should be proud of his accomplishments and stuff. But really looking back and knowing what's out there in the history of comic books, it was definitely one of those FOMO moments in comic book history if you were collecting it at that time. And they printed so many of those books. And I'd almost venture out to say, and I'm going to piss off some people by saying this, Amazing Spider-Man 300, kind of the same way. I mean, it's as much as I love Venom. I love Venom. Don't get me wrong. I think he was a great character that created by McFarlane, great at the time. But how many of those books are floating around? And I can't believe after all this time, people are still paying top dollar for that book. It's crazy.
You know what's funny is now, you know, because I'm kind of like you. I go through the numbers just constantly, and what I'm seeing is, and this isn't rocket science, what I'm seeing is those two books are very popular. Uncanny X-Men 266 is very popular on shows.
Right.
And I like all these books.
Yeah.
But I think the reason that we see so much of them is because they're right at the like pinnacle of what's accessible to almost every buyer.
Right.
And if we had deeper wallets, it might be, you know, why is NYX3, why is it $1,000?
Yeah, and I think the difference with NYX3 is a lot of people don't realize that the print run on that is little tougher than the print run on. I mean, there's a hell of a lot more of the New Mutant 98s and ASM 300s floating around than NYX3, and that's the reason why you should go after NYX3. Other than it's a cool ass character.
Oh, it's awesome.
If you're going to pick those 3 books, go after NYX3 every time first. So,
or why is the one my son and I talk about all the time is, why is Uncanny 266 a, you know, at a 9.8, it's I think around $600 right now,
right.
Something like that. I think that's right. And then why is Rogue's first appearance like $100?
I
I
don't.
think
I've
it could
never
be a thing,
understood.
but it could be the cover doesn't have Rogue on it. It's kind of like
Yeah,
cover.
I think
But
it's the
Rogue's
way it's the hype around the way it was introduced more than anything else. Because I have to say the Avengers Annual 11 is one of the ugliest covers maybe ever made for being a first appearance. And you know the thing is, the glow up with Rogue has come along so well over her span of time. She has the biggest glow up of any character out there. But with Gambit, when you're looking at Gambit 266, it's Gambit, you know, full life with a premium artist, a guy who's even at that time already kind of established himself as being a great artist to do first appearances and is recognizable and just knocked it out of the park for that cover.
right.
So that would probably be the biggest difference between those two books in my eyes.
All right. So we did most overrated key. What's the most underrated
Oof.
character? And if you want to change this to be underrated key, that you're like, you know what, people are sleeping on this. Either one's fine.
Man, you know, that's a tricky one. I always I think about I think Wrightson's Swamp Thing #1 I think should be a lot higher, but I'm such a big Bernie fan, and I'm not the only one out there thinking this. Now, House of Secrets 92 does get its credit, and it's been up there with Batman 227 for the last 3 years. Put it in
Right.
a show, you know, if it's being sold on a consignment site, it doesn't last very long if it's priced well. It gets its credit, but for Swamp Thing #1 in that first 10 issues that Bernie Wrightson did, I just think those books are so underappreciated. And I think over time, you're going to see the demand more and more for Bernie Wrightson stuff and other premium artists. I mean, Neil Adams stuff is requested all the time, too,
Yep.
and for good reason. And I think other artists in that era are going to start to be requested more and more. And I always go back to House of Secrets because all these guys were the artist stable that would do the covers for House of Secrets, like Michael Kaluta, like
Right.
Luis Dominguez, like Nick Cardy. Those guys are all great. And I think over time, and I've seen it slowly start to develop running shows, they're getting requested more and more.
Yep.
And same thing if you see their original art, it's not going to last very long because they're all beloved legends in the comic community. So
That's a great one. That's a great
yeah.
one. Both for the issue and the character. So well, Palms, that brings us to the end of our lightning round. And
All right.
really, folks, that's the end of CU Legends. So make sure you catch Palms not this coming week, but the following week, Tuesday, May 26th, hosted by Kate. Make sure you're following the Comic Underground IG and check out our profile every Sunday for your schedule of shows for the week. We are your positive comic community. Thanks so much, Palms, man. It's always good to talk to you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking the time to have me hang out and kind of introducing me more to the community. Hopefully, I'll again do some more podcasts and stuff where I can interact with the community. I love interacting with the community in shows too. I just can't do it on this level during shows, but it's fun that I have a chance to do this from time to time. And everybody, please, if you're not following the Comic Underground, please follow them. If you're following me, you should be following them by default.
Yeah.
And they're always going to have great shows, and they're one of the best community-based groups that you're going to find on Instagram, hands down. So I can't recommend and vouch for them enough. So thank you.
Thanks so much, man. And thanks. Make sure you're following Palms. Obviously, when we post this, his information will be in the caption, but it's Palms_FunnyBooks on Instagram. So thanks again, Palms, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, man. We'll talk soon.
See you.
All right, later.